And since the NFC East has always been a very aggressive division and in terms of offseason moves, David, do you feel like there's a team that kind of won free agency, or you feel like bought together the pieces that can really make them contend come next season?
These guys right here, Philadelphia Eagles. I thought they made some nice moves. I think really when you look at it, they had some key pieces. And when you look at free agency, a lot of times it's our first opportunity for teams to tell you how they messed it up, right? So you go out, you get Bryce Huff, defensive end. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, they needed some help at nickel in the secondary. Saquon Barkley is now going to be running the football with, please, Jalen Hurts. Please run the football with him. We'll get into that later. But I think that's the key, right? And then you had Devontae Parker, another speed guy outside. But this is really what makes it go, right? They're going to have to draft a center. They're going to have to do something to replace Jason Kelce. But really, this offensive line is going to be a breath of fresh air for Saquon Barkley. And if they get back to running the football the way Philadelphia has always run the football, the Eagles have won so far in free agency.
Yeah, David, listen, the Eagles are scary right now. If you think about Saquon with a competent offensive line and with how good they've been and how consistent they've been up front. So, look, the division has run through Philly for a number of years, and then obviously Dallas kind of leapfrogged them, won the division last year. The team that I feel like has made an unbelievable leap in this division, they're right back into this conversation now, I think, is Washington Commanders. And look, they've had a ton of money to spend, so it's easy to go out and buy a bunch of clothes when you've got a blank check. But I think when you look at the players that they've gotten, like, they're not overspending. They're getting great players, proven commodities. A guy like Austin Eckler, they got on a 2-year, $8 million deal. Look, combined, Washington Commanders running backs have scored 13 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons combined. Austin Eckler scored 44 touchdowns in the last 3 years. So instant offense with him. And look, he's just as good of a receiver out of the backfield as he is running in between the tackles. So a huge upgrade for that. They got Tyler Biotish, Nick Allegretti, who just won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs, filling in for Joe Tooney, left guard. Defensively, though, I think that's always been the calling card for Washington. We've got to have a great defense. You just mentioned Bobby Wagner. They picked him up. Dan Quinn has already pilfered a couple of guys from the Dallas Cowboys. Here's a guy to keep your eye on, Frankie Louvu. Look, a lot of people maybe look at it and just say, oh, man, that's just a stopgap linebacker. Absolutely not. Anybody that knows Frankie Louvu knows that this dude is running through you. This dude is a bell cow. He's plays smash mouth football. He's one of the best rushing linebackers in the NFL right now. He'll run through guards. He'll run over running backs. Like, look out. Frankie Louvu is coming to knock your block off.
But as we chat the NFC East, we're on Total Access all season long. We normally lead the show off with the Dallas Cowboys because that's America's team, right? Jerry Jones said, Sean, we're going all in on 2024. So is this a reason of concern for the Cowboys fans, upset that they did not make any notable moves during free agency?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a little bit frustrating right now because, you know, you're looking at the rest of the division. As we just pointed out, all 3 teams in the division are running laps around you. And look, sometimes if you've got that all-in mentality, right, to use the poker reference, you're just waiting for some good cards. And so clearly they're being patient right now and just waiting for some bargains. But it definitely, it's a little bit uneasy if you're Dak Prescott and if you're, you know, some of these veterans with the Dallas Cowboys, knowing if you're Mike McCarthy, hey, man, like, I'm one losing season away from this whole thing getting torn apart and rebuilt. So you'd like to see, you know, bringing in some playmakers, bringing in some guys. You know, everybody else in the league is finding a way to bring in some impact players. They're losing them, and they're getting pilfered by Dan Quinn and by these other teams who are stealing some of their players. So they've got some work to do to catch up.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is, you know, a lot of times when you don't do a lot of things in free agency, either you're up against the cap or you already have a good team and you got to sign your guys. But the concerning part for me is Tony Pollard leaving. And now let's look at our running back room, right? There were some free agents out there, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler. There's a lot of good backs out there. You let one slip out of the building, and what are you left with? You know, like, that's the issue with me. Is like Mike McCarthy gets brought back. They had the stinker against the Packers at home. They didn't really run the football like they should. And what did they do? They just let Tony Pollard go, and they don't really look like they're going to run the ball next year either. So I think that's the biggest concern if I'm a Cowboy fan. Yeah, you can bring Dak back. You can sign CD. You can do all those things. You have a lot of good players. Good for you. But I think the biggest thing is that run game has got to improve, and letting Tony Pollard walk and not get anyone else to replace him, that doesn't help.
Yeah, and seeing that Deuce Vaughn only had 40 rush yards last season, yet he's leading that running back room. You mentioned the cap hit. Dak Prescott, nearly a $60 million cap hit in 2024, second highest in the league, only behind Deshaun.